Hi everyone, welcome to my Shoreline Studio. I'm Sybille Muschik. We're continuing on the second part of the Farwell Canyon series. And of course we have a little root cellar and some images of the hoodoos and the big ranch house that was there. There's all sorts of other buildings there, by the way, as well. Beautiful spot. I hope you get to see it sometime. So we're going to be doing sort of traditional printmaking in this case, although with a twist as always. And so we use our gel plate. I have already done a drawing of this. You know, with a drawing, you do thumbnails and you have a look at what you can eliminate and what you want to leave in. So, and I've added a few extra touches and left a few things out. So that's a nice part about a drawing. So we'll work with that underneath the gel plate. But we are going to be doing it with a different ink this time. So I have my Speedball printmaking inks. These are water-based. They are a block printing ink and they work great on the gel plate, I found. So you can also, by making them less intense, you can use an ink medium. This is an ink extender, and it's transparent, so you can put a little bit of color down. If you don't want the intensity of color, use your extender, and that will help get you the color that you want. So I'm going to put some of that down here. We will work with a little extra plexiglass plate because you need to roll out the ink ahead of time, just like the original printmakers did. I'm going to put a background tone on first to give us the sort of the atmosphere of the place, and it's going to be a yellow, so more of a mid yellow. Oh, what's this one? This is dark yellow. You could lighten it up with a little bit of white just to push it back a little bit more. And then when you brayer it, you go up and down, back and forth. If you listen carefully, you hear that snick. Now I'm going to add just a little bit of that extender to it. I don't want the color quite that intense where we won't be able to have anything over top of it. So roll it out, and eventually when you get the paint just the right, you hear that snick? That's a printmaking snick, and then that's the right color. Of course you can brayer it off too, like usual, so you can take some of the color down so that it will be even more transparent. Speedball is a good printmaking ink, but there's also Aqua. Now I find Aqua extremely expensive, but it is perfect for this kind of printmaking. And we'll probably just use this color on the side. Okay, so let's print this first layer. Now Speedball printmaking inks also don't dry that fast either. I think Aqua is better for that kind of thing, but and then we're going to do some registration here because we're going to be printing it in layers. Oh, just a little bit more. And we picked up a little bit of paint that I thought I'd gotten off already from the last print, but that's okay, that gives us character. No problem. So we have a nice pale tone, about the tone of the grasses that we want. And then just push that down. And because we're going to be printing it in bits and pieces, then you have to register it. That's the best way. I mean, you could try the plate as a stamp, but it's going to be off a little bit. If that's the look you want, then that's fine. So our colors, where's our Speedball colors? So it says water soluble, that's so easy to say, black printing ink, and this is brown. I think the Speedball colors names are simple, which is fine. We need some blue. And this one is blue, right? Told you the colors were simple. That's good. It's more of an ultramarine blue. We'll call it teal. I'm sure that's what they call it. So turquoise, well, close enough. And we already have the yellow. We need the black. And that's black, right? We'll put black up here to be on the safe side. And by mixing the yellow with the blue, we're going to get some greens. We don't need a lot of greens. So brushes. My University Winsor Newtons, this is a number 2. I was using that in the last episode. We might need a few of these little rigger type brushes. And I'm sorry I don't do Chinese because my brushes. I have a friend who could translate for me, but he lives in Hong Kong, so we'll keep those handy. So let's start with one of our riggers, and we will definitely outline. And the last one, because we had a transfer, our outlines were already done for us. Now with this paint, it's water soluble. You just need to add a bit of water. You can add a little bit of extender to it. That stops it from beating up so much. So let's outline the lintel here, just in the black. And we'll probably do most of the detail. I find that as I print, then we lose some of the detail of it, but I do it. That's why I have the drawing underneath, so that helps in case we lose some of this. But sometimes it's a good idea to print rather than waiting till the very end. Because you're keeping your paint liquid, you don't have to worry about it drying. If it does dry, then you can wet the paper. Just spritz it and damp it dry with a paper towel. And it will print whatever's on the plate. Now by using my medium, and if you don't have the medium, you could probably put soap on the plate, like a little bit of detergent, so you don't get the beading happening. But I find the medium works really good. Usually when you buy the Speedball paints, the medium is available. I can try and put a link in for that. But I think Speedball sells through your own things like Dick Blick and so they probably don't sell directly. So I would look for it in your own. Michael's might have it, you know, whatever art supply store you use. Now if you find you're having trouble, I have something called a bridge to help you with drawing that keeps your hand off of your gel plate. Makes it a lot easier. My hubby made this for me, so but you know, they're for sale at your art supply stores. But they're easy enough to make. You could do it out of cardboard. Nice heavy duty cardboard. Just something to rest your hand on. Okay. Now on the side here are these logs. When we did the last one with the colored pencils, I didn't have logs in there, I don't think. We just ignored them, but they are there. And they do give a bit of extra detail that's interesting. So in this one, I've put it in. So some logs, and we'll give that some color in a minute. Now I'm going to try to do a wash. And add a little bit of black to that, just to darken it up. In here. Now it's going to bead on me a little bit, but that's fine. So we're just in shadow here. Let's add a little bit more medium. And you see the textures you're going to get from using this kind of way of working. Just a little more color. It's all in shadow. Now, of course, when you print this, it's going to be in reverse. And that's actually the original way. The image that I printed off, of course, had to be done in a flip fashion so that we get it the right way around for when we're working with it. Okay, let's print that and see where we're at. Yes, it's quite nice. Okay. We'll continue with the bridge here, and I guess I'll work on the rocks and then just do the grasses at the end. And I can put the trees in now too. We'll add a little bit of burnt sienna to that. And see how nice the bridge is? It really lets you draw well. And if you don't have a death grip on your brush, you can do nice lines. So hold your brush back a little bit. This brush happens to have a nice little holder, which is the perfect distance. You could hold your brush back even further. So you could really go nuts with all your little trees and things here. You can add in stuff, you know, aside from your drawing if you want. You know, the occasional bush here and there. We've got the outline here of the little logs. Again, this is a partially kind of drawing way of working. So you could leave outlines, or, you know, have it only as a painterly kind of effect. In modern art history, of course, some of the Impressionists start outlining, which made everybody just horrified at the time. And then it became all the rage, so. Now everything goes. You can, if you wanted to, you could build this up into a three-dimensional sculpture and it would be just fine. And has been done, probably. And I'm not going to do too much detail. The point is just to give you the instruction of how to go about working with Speedball inks. And if you wanted to, of course, it would work, you know, with stencils, all that kind of thing. And, you know, collage is not beyond the realm of reason. If you wanted to make your rocks more three-dimensional, cut them out of other gel plate papers that you have and make them really interesting, I think that would be quite lovely. So let's outline our rocks. More medium. And we'll start at the top and work our way down. That's easier. And I'm just going to work fast and furiously, and then we'll give it some color. We had such a good day. It was a beautiful day. It was nice that they opened the gate and you could wander around in the field. They must have had a big garden to have a root cellar this size. And maybe they had caretakers. I think they had caretakers throughout the year so that when the cowboys came on their trail drives and they needed to eat, there was, you know, food from the garden or out of the cold room here, from the root cellar. And I might just print at this stage. It's probably fairly dry. We may have to wet the paper too. Oh, it's actually printing really well. See, Speedball inks will stay wet until you print them on paper. Just the last few little rocks that I can see. Oh, we're beating. No beating up allowed. So as you can see, it picked up a lot of the ink, which meant it wasn't on the plate and I didn't know where anything was anymore. So that's why your drawing underneath is so helpful. I mean, you could put the photograph, and I have done that underneath, but I think it's good discipline to do your own drawing. And, you know, go through the routine of doing your little thumbnails and maybe even color studies. Then you're so much more in control of the final process. And it's enjoyable to do that. I know we always like to get right into painting and so forth, but to do your preliminary work gives you more confidence and more control, and you really know why you're doing what you're doing. Okay, and then we'll just start putting some color in. So I don't know if we're going to do the entire piece because there's a lot of stuff involved, but we'll see how we go. run out of time, then I guess that's it. But, okay, so let's start with a few blue-gray rocks. I'm going to really, in the last episode, I put the blue down, and oh my gosh, it was intense. Hey, this is not going to be quite so bad. And more medium. Maybe a nice big one here. I don't have that violet out, but we'll use burnt sienna. And a few blue rocks on this side too. Here and there. There actually is a lot of bluestone in the area. We even have a road called Bluestone here. And it's quite pretty. It's not a gemstone of any means, but nice for gardens and things. Okay. And let's go into our burnt sienna and maybe add a bit of yellow to that. And that will be a nice contrast to the blues. And of course we'll make some grays as well, because lots of the rock is gray. But then that's not nearly so interesting. I'm getting a lot of beading here, so make sure you add lots of medium. Yeah, that's better. Now one area in that Farwell Canyon up at the top before you head down the hill is a reserve for the grasses. And that's well worth investigating as well. At the end of the day, we did a mad dash to see the juniper trees. And the juniper trees it's like a little island of juniper. It's like it's been planted. And they seem to be disappearing. I'm not sure why. There used to be lots of them there. And when we came, I think we only saw about 2 or 3, right? But a lot of the Chilcotin has juniper. Now, because we have our rocks outlined, I think just printing the color will be good. Yeah, we just need a little bit more color. So maybe a little bit. We'll mix up a gray. Use some of the white here. Now generally in watercolor-based paintings, the white is your paper, of course. So in this case, we're just going to use the white to create a gray. And we'll give it a little bit more character by adding in the blue to it. And lots of this medium. And neutralize it a bit. Just neutralize it by giving it its complement. See? And then you can add a little bit more. That gives you quite an intense gray. I'm sure when they built it, this whole hillside was just like, oh, you know, rock. And then the grasses start growing in between. so they peek out here and there. And then we'll fill in the grasses. Just gonna get some more different colors. Rocks are multicolored, so they're not all gray. And just make it interesting. I want this one to be brown. Okay. Let's print that and see where we're at. So you get the idea, and good, now we're getting more character of the rock. So let's have a look. Our rocks are pretty good. I think I'm going to leave the lintel for the most part, because as we add color here, then that will, be the brightest part, and it will be our center of interest. So okay, so let's start with grasses here at the top. Usually you work from the background to the foreground, right? So, and we have a few little rocks. Those are turned out pretty good. So I've squeezed out a little bit more medium. We're going to use our yellow and lots of medium and some of the white. And we're going to make it more liquid with a little bit of water. And we're just going to put in sort of large areas. Cover it in tone. I'm just going to paint in between the tree branches because I can still see them. So this will need some texture. So as if the grasses were in layers. That will work. Okay. And there's no saying that you couldn't draw into it. That kind of thing, right? I'll print that and show you. Don't know how well it would show up because we've got an intense yellow there already. It's just meant to be background. But look, it does. It looks great. And we'll do that on this side too. Now we have to remember which side is the dark side. So on this side it's a bit darker. So let's put a little bit of blue in that yellow. We'll take a patch of that. And we're just going to gray it down a little bit. Add a little bit more medium. A little bit more water. So that's all in here. So sunlight was hitting this side and some parts were in shadow. Okay. So we're just adding, again, just a little bit of character back here. There are some rocks. We'll try and miss those. But they've printed already, so if we lose them, I can just repaint them. So this is the dark side. Although there's a bit of shadow here from the lintel onto the, even though the sunlight is streaming down that side. Okay, let's try and see that. Good, okay, and then, and here we'll have the lightest of the, I might just do it almost totally white because we've got the yellow there already. Maybe just add a touch of that and then just the white with lots of the medium. And we'll block that in here in the More medium. We're getting beading happening. That's better. Again, make it look like layers. Or even back in here where the light's hitting that side. Okay. Now, again, you can draw into it, give it some shapes. Grass is going helter-skelter. Okay, well, it's like I said, it's going to be pretty bright, so we just add a few little darker details as to where everything is there. So we might just add a few touches of, say, brush underneath there or something, right? Some on top of the... Now we can probably color in our little boards that are sitting on the top. And more burnt sienna. Don't want to go too dark because it's just the bases of the... So just flick your brush here and there. And just scrape. Okay. It's okay. Works good. Yeah, see, little detail there. Just a few little scruffy things and some of the boards here. I might have to outline the boards yet. Okay, so just the base here. And then I think you've got the idea of, you know, the little root cellar, and so we need... So we're going to have darker grasses here, so the bright yellow with touches of burnt sienna, and that ties everything together. Now we'll probably use just our bigger brush. And lots of medium this time. So we're just going to go hog wild with the... Again, in layers. So some lights, some darks, work back and forth. So this is really painter. You got to watch your plate here. Keeps moving around and messing up my paper. Getting really carried away here. The excitement of it. But that's the fun part. So be spontaneous, be painterly, have fun with this. That's the whole point. And, you know, there's no saying you can't work other media into it. Like I said, you could collage into it. You know, it's all fair game. And I really like working like this. With a painting, sometimes you're slaving away and not making much progress with this kind of thing. You don't worry too much. It's a good break from your normal routine if you're doing commissions and things like that. Well, you know, take some time, do some printmaking, and have fun with it. And these, of course, are very frameable. The Oriental paper, which I'm using here, is You can certainly attach it to a board. I have done, and then varnish it. Whoa. All right. So there's that. That turned out, it's pretty dramatic, isn't it? So now we have to consider these sides here and maybe a bit less flamboyant, but not much. So we're going to be in between the rocks here and darks here and there. I probably will scrape into this because otherwise we're going to lose some of the rocks. So it's not all the same. You can see in the background here, you know, it's much softer. It gives you more distance. There's more detail in the front here. I'm going to put some bushes in, I think, just to cut the grasses a bit. We're just going to, at the base here and up in here, we'll just add a few more to lead the eye into this background area. And then a few grasses here in between rocks. You can swish them and twirl them. Okay, let's add some of those few little branchy things. I'm going to need some medium in there, or it'll just beat up on me. Okay. So make your brush, take it down to twirl it, and that way you get a nice point. And then you just do it in Chinese calligraphy style. Just add it. There we go. Doesn't have to be many. Just add a bit more. Twirl it on your palette too. That's another way of getting a point. No, that you don't want them the center of interest, so keep them fairly soft. Just a few little branchy things here and there. You're just cutting all that grassy stuff a little bit. Okay, print that quick. Yeah, see? That just adds to the character of it. Now here, so that's in here. I think we either have rocks missing. We have rocks missing. Which can be alleviated. We'll add a few more. So we're looking at here, which is, it's in this area. Remember, everything prints in reverse, so just add a little bit more color. And then okay. We're almost there. We need to color the boards. I also want them to tone down a little bit. And see how the lintel shines with all that stuff around it? It's great, but the boards need some tone. And we're just going to use that sort of gray-brown Lots of medium. And the brushes already have some characters, so just gonna add a little bit more medium. And then we're going to take some of it down because the light's shining on them. And you just do that by wiping away. Now see how that prints. Okay. So bit by little bit it all comes together. Ah, look at that. And our lintel is nice and sharp. Well, oh, here. We still need more grasses there. Okay, that's in this area here. I have to be careful of the rocks here. So we're just going to add some tone. Let's see how that works. All right, we got it. And we didn't cover up our rocks, so. Anyway, fun way to work. I hope you'll try this. It's fun to work with printmaking paint this way, or Speedball. And of course you could do it in layers, you could do it with stencils. This is, you know, the regular way to work. Don't forget about when you're rolling it out to make it snick. And we'll continue. I don't know if we're doing more with Farwell Canyon, but we have lots of stuff to do on that. And please join us for another episode. So nice to have you join me today. Thanks so much for watching. Take care and bye for now.